Well. Welcome to another episode of SKST Radio. We're talking real talk with Grayson, and I have a new friend. He goes by the name of Julian Bailey. Hey, Julian, welcome to the show.
Yo, Kimmy, what's up? Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, thank you. I'm a little pink because I finished my high intensity training workout a little too short, before the start of this interview. So I'm not normally this pink, I guess. And I'm also trying to figure out my lighting situation over here. It's kind of a mess around here with all my lights, but
well, you look very handsome to me, sir. So I think you look just fine. So
that's
don't even
just
go
what
there.
I need to hear. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about yourself, Julian.
Well, where do I start? I mean, I was born in Canada. I was born in Montreal, Canada, into a musical family. My mom was a musician. My father was a businessman, but the music kind of dominated our family. I was born and raised here. I moved to Southern California after turning 18 years old in the mid 90s, and lived in LA for a couple of years where I was going to school, and then moved to Chicago where I started my career in the US, and then went back to LA, stayed there for a while. And many years later, ended up coming back here to Montreal, and I've been here for the last several years. And as you're aware, I'm working on this TV show called Three Pines, which has been really exciting and really cool because it's a really cool show. It's a really good show, and reasonably high profile with some amazing talent involved. So that's my attempt at giving a not too long a drawn out introduction.
Okay, so let's just take you back a little bit. When did you get the acting bug?
Well, I would say I was in elementary school, and there was a kid at my school who was on a TV show, a Canadian TV show, and he was kind of a little mini celebrity, if you will. And I just remember thinking, like, I could do that, I could pretend to be someone else and get paid for it, and that would be fun. I felt like I could pull it off. So I'll say this first. What happened was I was raised learning piano because my mom was specifically a piano teacher. And so I was raised being taught piano by her and then other people, because, you can't sit still when your mom's trying to teach you piano, especially classical piano. So the music thing was kind of my main focus. But after I started to, after I met this kid at school and realized that, he was doing this show, and I sort of put two and two together, and I was like, I could do that. I asked my parents if I could be enrolled in a children's theater group. And so I did that. And then shortly after that, a production for the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation was looking for a kid to play the lead in a Christmas film. And they came to my elementary school, and I ended up getting cast as one of the two leads in the film. And wouldn't you believe it, as a moody character, actually, kind of a moody kid with sort of a troubled situation, which I'm bringing that up because that's kind of Peter Morrow's, demeanor or whatever. Apparently, I get the moody roles, but yeah, so I got that role. And in fact, I was scheduled to be in England that Christmas for family stuff because my mom is from London, and I got the film, and so I flew back on my own. I guess I was 11 years old, so it was my first time being on a plane by myself.
Oh, wow.
And came back and did that movie. And then around that time, maybe a little bit after, I did a play with the National Theatre School of Canada. And then around that time as well, I started auditioning for dubbing projects. So like anime projects, in case anybody doesn't know, anime is like Japanese animation. They were doing a lot of dubbing in Montreal. And, as you probably know, Montreal is predominantly French, but being an English speaking and from here, and without too much of a kind of Canadian, well, I guess I did have a bit of a Canadian accent, but they kind of worked that out of you to just sound kind of general American. And I guess I got the hang of it enough to where for most of my the later part of my childhood into my adolescence until I went down to Southern California, I was doing a lot of voice work and dubbing projects and things like that.
So do you like that better than acting, the voice dubbing?
No, I wouldn't say I like it better, but I do really like it though, because, well, for a couple reasons. I think one is, you talk about hiding some actors talk about hiding in a character, but when it's just your voice, you can really hide in the character. Nobody can see your face. I mean, I have no problem, showing my face on camera, except after I've done a high intensity training workout and I look like a pig.
You're so funny.
Yeah, but no, I mean, I really enjoy dubbing work. And I'll say this, since coming back to Montreal, it took a few years before Netflix started bringing contracts back here. And so I've been working on several Netflix projects just with my voice, along with different video games and things like that I've been doing over the last several years. But like, for example, I did a show for Netflix called Amazon. All these company names are getting tangled up in my head. Called Vincenzo for Netflix, and that was a very popular Korean series, and I dubbed the American voice or the English voice of Vincenzo, the lead character. That was a lot of fun. I did that last year, and I'll mention this too. For Three Pines, they wanted to know if there was a chance I might be able to dub my own character in French, because I do speak a little bit of French.
Oh, cool.
Well, I mean, I say a little bit. I can have a conversation, but I have an accent, And I sent in my little demo tape of me speaking French. Like, of course, I never heard from them. They're like, "No, we'll get someone else to dub your character."
Okay, so fast forward. So how did you get the role as Peter Morrow?
Well, I auditioned for it. A breakdown came through to my agent, and he sent it to me, and I put myself down on tape. Of course, it was, in the thick of COVID, the whole, pandemic or whatever. So, I put myself on tape for it, and I sent it in. My agent said, what did he say? He said, "I'm not a betting man, but if I were, I'd put my money on you for this role." And I was like, wow, okay. Thanks. It's nice to have a vote of confidence. Yeah. I heard Robert De Niro said something, which I'm sure he said a while ago, but I just saw the clip the other day. And he said, as an actor, don't assume you're going to get the role. Go in there not assuming it. I was like, man, I usually don't assume I'm going to get the role. But yeah, I went in there and I said, great, I'm glad you think it's solid. And I mean, I did feel pretty good about it. When it's good material, it's usually easier to perform, mm-hmm. And it was great material. But then I didn't hear anything for a long time, and then they came back and I heard I was in the mix the day I was starting a movie. And of course, I had the long hair at the time, which because of COVID and the whole thing, isolation. And I had a beautiful, big old beard. And for the movie I was doing, they wanted to get rid of the, all the hair and the beard. So literally like an hour maybe before I went into the hair and makeup chair to get a haircut, my agent calls me and he's like, "Don't let them cut your hair. The people at Three Pines say they really like your hair and they just leave your look alone if you can." So I had to talk to the producer of the movie and say, "Hey, is there any way we can kind of like split the difference and make my character a little more on the hip side or whatever, as opposed to the clean cut look." So they were super accommodating. And
oh, that's good.
But then the funny thing is, anyway, there's a lot I could say about that. But I will say that once I got back to, once I found out I got the role, they wanted me to cut the beard. And we kind of agreed on sort of a 5 o'clock shadow, or whatever, a few days growth or whatever. I say whatever too much. I gotta stop that. And then we agreed to the hair. They wanted me to kind of clean it up a bit. So that all the hair and the look and everything of my character really was something they kind of had in mind and wanted to craft for my character. So I was like, cool, I'll go along with it and work with that. But I was going to say that they came back with a different role during that whole process, and I was actually reading for another role, and then circle back around to the original role I had auditioned for, which was Peter Morrow. So I was happy about that. Yeah.
You know, I thought the character of Peter was interesting because I went through the whole series, right? The first series. And that whoop-de-doo style that Peter has, that curl on the side, the Elvis-like curl, you know, I thought that was kind of cool. So I was like, is that you normally, or is that just for Peter?
Yeah, exactly. No, thanks for pointing that out. No, it's not me normally, to be honest. I normally like it kind of high and tight and just, you know, kind of clean cut. And I'm not well, when I was younger, I had the long, you know, when I was kind of in my, you know, late teens, early 20s, I kind of had the long hair. And I remember going one period of like, I don't know, 3 or 4 months when I was in college where I didn't even wash my hair. I don't know what I was thinking, but I had the, you know, little elastic, I kind of had little braids and then they kind of got all stuck together. It was sort of disgusting.
Oh my God, I didn't end up with dreads.
Yeah, more like just really like dirty dreads. I don't know how else to call it, but yeah, no, so it's not really my thing to have that hairstyle. I mean, yeah, I guess the character, I mean, you draw on elements of yourself when you're playing a character, but I would say that he's not really, I'm not really like that dude in a lot of ways, including style wise. But again, they had an idea of how they wanted to style me, which by the way, was not necessarily exactly how he's described in the books, as readers of the books will, you know, notice. And that was just a choice. They also made my character about, I don't know, say 12 to 15 years younger than he is in the books too. So, yeah, or at least 10 years younger. Maybe I'm being generous with myself, but yeah, so there were different things, you know, including the style and stuff like that. And, you know, you just kind of roll with it and you make it work for your work and what you're doing. And, I, you know, if we get a second season,
You
then,
will.
yeah, then, yeah,
We're
amen.
praying that on you. Well, you will.
Yeah. So if, you know, so when we do the second, like I might see if we can kind of, you know, take the hair in a bit, you know what I mean? Because it is a little floppy, but I think it kind of goes with the character. But surely the character,
it does. It really fits. It really does fit. You know, when I first saw Peter, at first I thought he was like, you know, I'm not gonna like this guy, and then later on, he became adorable. And then it's kind of like, now he got some shady going on. So you don't know which. I saw 3 characters there. You know what I mean with Peter. So I'm like, is it more than the 3? You know, you saw his home life, you know, with his real family, and you know, the book club, and you know, it's just he's just kind of different in each aspect. I want to say.
That's a
You
good
agree with
observation.
that or no?
Oh, absolutely. No, I was going to say that's a very good observation. You know, when you're working, especially when you're shooting backwards, like we did, we shot the first episodes. Well, I should say we shot the last episodes first, and then we shot the first episodes last. And of course, you're shooting all out of order. You've got to really try to keep yourself situated or oriented or orientated, whatever the word is, where you are in the story, because you know, you're shooting all kind of like, in French we say par hasard, which sort of means randomly, and therefore, yeah, you need to know where you're at and kind of what's been happening, where you're going, what's coming up. But that's one thing that I really liked about this character, was he really is, I was going to say, you know, more than a dual personality. He's really kind of got these multiple personalities and sides to him, which, if you've done any study or research on, you know, child psychology and just psychology in general, people who've had, you know, particular traumas from childhood tend to find different personas or personalities to sort of hide in, as a defense or protective mechanism, you know. And I think that's definitely going on with this guy. You know, he's a complex and enigmatic character, and you know, he's all at once trying to run away from himself and try to find himself at the same time. So yeah, it's really a fun character. And, you know, I think having a chance to like develop that more in, in further iterations of the books or further seasons, hopefully will give, will give the audience a chance to see, even more of how this guy unfolds, in his life. He's definitely a broken person. I'll say that, he's a broken person, but he's a sincere person also at the same time,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think out of the family, I think that ties the bond. When they did the family scene with the actual family, I
Mm-hmm.
think that was good. I think Peter needed that because it was such a torn family,
Yeah.
and so I thought that was really cool that Peter was willing to bite the bullet. It was funny. Yeah, I enjoyed that scene. That was funny, and
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
but yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah. Thanks for saying that. Yeah. The family stuff is important, and one thing I've noticed about the show is, and I will also mention, I actually still haven't watched the last two episodes yet. And that's because of Christmas and everything. I just didn't have really a good chance to. So I'm looking forward to seeing the last two. But, showing that those family dynamics is so important in helping to sort of situate yourself as an audience and understanding where these people are coming from. And obviously not just me, but Clara, Anna Tierney, who plays my wife, Clara. Just what they say, when you get married, you're marrying the family too, which
Right.
is unfortunately kind of true, well, fortunately or unfortunately, but I guess in Clara's case, sort of unfortunately. And and so that, there's a lot of those stories are kind of setting us up for, things that are, have happened and will happen back in the
Mhm.
town, and the whole the suspicious thing where everyone's kind of a suspect. It's like
Yeah.
everybody's coming from somewhere, there's a reason why they're like this, these people.
Yeah, that's pretty cool though. So,
Hmm.
what's your funnest moment? What was your funnest moment being on set?
My most fun moment. Ooh, most fun. Well, I mean, if I get something specific, I'll let you know. But I think in general, uh, I mean, honestly, I just like working. I just really love working on almost anything. I mean, well, not almost anything, but I just like working a lot. And
Okay,
if it's a job I wouldn't want to do, I wouldn't take it. I wouldn't do it. So when I'm working, I just
it's
I
fun.
feel like I'm where I'm supposed to be. And it's just fun working with cool people. I mean, I would be remiss not to say that Alfred Molina as the lead is he's just he's not only is he such a kind person, but he's such a professional where he understands how to lead and carry a show, both on camera and during production. The way he carries himself, his comportment, his
Mhm.
comportment and his integrity comes through, and that makes all the difference when you have your lead knowing how to behave and how to act and
Right.
having the kind of experience that he does. It makes all the difference, and he's always cracking jokes and he's got a great sense of humor. Yeah, so that I just working with Alfred Molina and everybody else was a lot of fun. Yeah.
So now, so can you give some words of wisdom to anybody that's trying to be in the same position that you're in right now?
um, yeah, you mean same position that I'm in as it relates to my career?
Hmm.
Right. um, well, I would say be true to yourself, in the sense that if you have a dream or if you have something in your heart to do or to explore, don't neglect that. Don't let other people dissuade you from what's crying out from your heart that you feel like you need to move in, a given direction. Um, if you're an artist or whatever field you're in, uh, you know, there are going to be inevitable obstacles. But I would say purpose to see past the obstacles, understand it's not necessarily going to be easy, but it's always worth it to pursue tenaciously and go after your dreams, regardless of what the ultimate outcomes are. It's always worth it. I used to say I would rather, fall forward on my face than fall backwards and wonder what might have been if I'd have tried to, if I'd have taken that risk, or if I'd have chosen to have the faith that I needed to keep going when everything around me was screaming at me to pack it in, so, and for me, that's been kind of a clumsy exercise. I've kind of gone, I think I've gone through probably more than I necessarily had to, but then again, sometimes the fight is what makes you, who you end up becoming, the challenges that you have in your life that can, really can end up feeding your work as an artist, particularly I would say as an actor. And I mean, I can't speak to, actual art, like, painters or whatever, but I'm sure it's the same thing. Any kind of art, music too, I mean, you've got to live. I mean, don't be stupid, you know what I mean? Try to make good choices, and have some good principles and morals, I would say, but, Absolutely. and don't hurt people, but definitely, shoot for the stars, shoot for the stars, but don't hurt people if you can,
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you. So what's next for you, Julian?
Well, like I said, we're waiting to hear about season. Oh yeah, sorry, I just noticed something, but it's all good. You can hear me okay, right? By the way.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because I just realized that my special little external mic never got plugged in. Oh man. Did. It's okay. So what's next for me? Well, like as far as work goes, as far as my career goes, the big thing is we're hoping to get a green light for season 2. That would be amazing. Other than that, I am working on writing one or two things right now, which I'm hoping to be able to pitch to get made. But that's kind of, yeah, I can't say too much about that because it's sort of in that stage of like, we'll see what happens and where it goes. So as far as that goes, there's that. And then, I'm always doing, voice work here and there. I kind of took a little bit of a breather this past year because my wife and I had a baby. So we have
congratulations.
Thank you. So we have a well, what is he? 8 months now, an 8-month-old boy, and at home, and so that's cool. Exciting. Yeah. We actually, not to get all personal or whatever, but we got married last year in February, and my wife had a 1.5-year-old daughter when we met in end of 2014, I guess, and so I've kind of more or less helped raise her, but now I'll be in the process of adopting her officially. So she's 9 now. So we have when you have the kids and and the whole home thing, so you're trying to figure out. It's exciting. I mean, I'm not going to say it's like a Sunday stroll in the park.
And look at that smile. That means you're happy. That's so cool.
I appreciate a good challenge, but it's the greatest blessing you could imagine, having kids, and both of those kids are just my pride and joy, and wow. So it's just kind of mind blowing, but you still gotta do the little things, and but I've been trying to spend time with particularly with baby, because he's been so young, and that's really exciting. So my whole world has kind of been revolving around that. And it's been exciting to see the show coming up and rolling out and everything, and we're sort of we're kind of like considering the possibility of going back to LA at some point, at least for, part of the year. Of course, if we keep doing the show, I'll be here for that. But yeah, we're just kind of exploring all possibilities at this point.
Well, it's nice and warm there, so it's I've been there a couple of times, and every time I went, it's been nice. It gets a little cold. It gets a little cold, but during the day, it's good. It's great.
Where you talking about?
In LA?
In LA, yeah, it gets cold at night because it's got that kind of desert climate, where it kind of cools down at night, especially if you're on the other side of the hill. I lived in the valley for a long time, so it's just hot all the time in the valley. But yeah, no, LA's cool. I mean, for me, LA feels kind of more like home than anywhere else in a way, I guess, because I had such sort of formative years there. But I love Texas too. Who knows? Maybe, the taxes are lower in Texas. Maybe we'll move to Texas. I have some really good friends from Texas. One of my best friends is from Houston, and got another good friend who's from a town north of Dallas, and I got another good friend who lives in near Dallas in Frisco. So I
know all those places.
Yeah, I have a lot of Texas connections, and every time I've been in Texas, I always like it. I always have it feel like a good vibe there, So
so you like the Texas weather, the heat?
The heat doesn't bother me too bad. I mean, as long as you have AC in your car, I went for too long with no AC in my car in Southern California doing parties for kids on the weekends, driving through Southern California in a Pikachu outfit or Buzz Lightyear, Scooby-Doo, or a Teletubby. I was a Teletubby one time, all dressed up. And if you don't have AC in your car, by the time you get to do the kids' party, you're already just beating sweat. So I have a great appreciation for air conditioning, actually. Yeah.
That's one reason why I appreciate being here in Virginia, because in Dallas, we have beaches in Texas too, but from Dallas, it's like to get to Padre Island, to get to Galveston Beach, it's like a drive. You have to drive like forever to get there. Yeah. And so I always gravitate to where the water is. So literally here in Virginia Beach, I'm 3 blocks from the beach. And
beautiful.
Fantastic.
I'll say this. My brother lived in New York City for a while. He was actually living, I don't know if you're familiar with New York City, but he lived in Yonkers. And I remember we went, if people who are familiar with New York, and we went up to Jones Beach in Long Island, and we had a coffee in the morning, and then we got a hot dog and went to Jones Beach, but yeah, Long Island, Jones Beach. And I remember we had to go through these toll roads to get to the beach. And when we got to the beach, it was just like chock-a-block full. And I remember thinking like, man, get me back to Malibu, where you just like drive up the coast, and you can find your little secret spot, and there's like hardly anybody around. And that's something I really liked about California. But I did live in Oxnard for a little while with some friends, and they lived near a beach called Silver Strand Beach in Oxnard, California. And we lived like, probably 3 or 4, maybe 5 blocks from the beach. But I used to go down there, and it was exactly 1 mile long. So I do my jog on the beach, and just really, really beautiful being by the beach. So I feel where you're coming from with that.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Wouldn't trade it for the world,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, Julian, I'm not going to hold you, but I want to thank you so much for being on the show. Tell people how they can see Three Pines.
If you don't have Amazon Prime Video, get an Amazon Prime subscription. I think it's really worth it, because I believe you also get free and fast shipping if you're going to order stuff, and plus you get the video service. So there's my little commercial for Amazon. Get Amazon Prime, Three Pines. It's streaming now. All episodes are out, so you can binge it. And there's that. If you want to follow me personally, do it on Instagram at I am Julian Bailey. And that's it, Instagram. And I'm trying to start a Twitter, which is the same handle, I am Julian Bailey. But I only have like 10 or 11 followers on there right now. So
we'll help build those up. We'll get you some more followers.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you again for being on the show. I'm very excited. Season 2 is going to be here, and we're going to enjoy every moment of it, because they got so much of the story that we don't know.
Oh, they got to finish
it. They can't just leave us hanging.
And that's right, exactly. And there are 18 books too. I mean, Louise Penny's latest book is #1 right now on the New York Times bestseller. At least it was last week. I think it probably still is. But yeah, there's so many great stories and worth telling, and they're just really human stories and worth. I think they're really worth your while. They'll enrich you beyond just the entertainment value, I think.
Right.
And so it's just really been a blessing to be a part of. Yeah.
Yeah, wow. Well, keep up the good work. I mean, I love your work, and I know you're gonna go way far, way beyond. And I'm seeing Julian taking over, being like the #1 person on the show. I mean, I don't know. I'm just predicting this. Okay, haven't read the books yet, but I'm just predicting this. So
okay, yeah, sounds exciting. No, I'll definitely I'm game. Let's do it. Let's strap in and let's go for it. Yeah,
let's go for it. Right. Well. Have a good night. Give the baby a kiss for me. And I'll be seeing you. If you ever need me, reach out. I'm here. I'm on Instagram as well. And I'll reach out to you. And if you need me for anything, I'm here. Help promote whatever you're working on. I'm there for you. Okay.
That means a lot to me. Thank you so much. I'm going to go take a cold shower now so I can see what I can do about my pink face. My pink face.
Well, have a good night.
All right. You too,
okay, guys.
Thank you so much.
Until next time, SKST Radio. Bye-bye.
You're watching SKST.